Obama swore it was impossible and refused to do it in 8 years. Trump just did it before the end of his first. It's been almost a year since President Trump took office and his predecessor still hasn't gotten the message that this is Trump's America now. Former President Obama continues to physically follow President Trump around, attempting to undo whatever the president does, despite the fact that Obama had 8 years to have his way with America, and many facets of our society are still deeply scared because of it. One of those facets is the economy. Despite what the die-hard Democrats will tell you, record number of people on welfare and higher tax rates isn't what makes for a great economy. Manufacturing jobs, lower taxes, and increased incentives to produce jobs is what makes for a strong and thriving economy, something that President Trump knows a thing or two about. In fact, Obama was so sure that America would never again be able to increase its manufacturing jobs, he promised it while he was in office. He made sure that everyone knew that was absolutely no hope for the American worker. Enter President Trump. According to America's news hub and CNBC, reports now confirm that 40,000 manufacturing jobs have come back in just 1 month. It's understandable that Obama might be confused. After all, his resume is a little lacking in anything to do with real-life jobs and businesses. The manufacturing industry posted its best month of job gains all year, leading a better-than-expected rise in private payrolls during November. Companies added 190,000 in the month as the economy seemed to return to normal following the violent hurricane season, according to the monthly report from ADP and Moody's Analytics. The total was just above the 185,000 expected from economists surveyed by Reuters and below the 235,000 growth in October. The manufacturing sector added 40,000 positions alone. The job market is red hot, with broad-based job gains across industries and company sizes, Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's, said in a statement Wednesday. There is a mounting threat that the job market will overheat next year. The growth comes as the government's headline unemployment rate is at 4.1%, a 17-year low that economists believe will continue to decline. The Labor Department will release its closely watched official non-farm payrolls count Friday, with economists expecting growth of 175,000 and the jobless rate holding steady. We are going sub 4% by this time next year, and that's an economy that could overheat, Zandi added in an interview on CNBC's Squawk Box. Well, look at that. As it turns out, there was a way to bring manufacturing back to America and give more Americans jobs than never before. You can say it's because of confidence, or the tax incentives that President Trump is trying to give businesses, and that all might be true. The point here is that liberals will lie to you about the economy every single day of the week. Maybe that's because they're genuinely confused about numbers. That's been a suspicion for a long time. And maybe it's because they know that if you understand how good the conservative view is for your pocketbook, you'll never vote Democrat again. Either way, when you listen to a liberal about anything to do with real actual work, you're not getting good information. Crazy as this misinformation seems, it's just the beginning of the attack on both your intellect as a voter and President Trump as your chosen leader. Just days ago, Obama was speaking in Chicago and actually compared President Trump to Adolf Hitler. The danger is growing complacent, Obama said. We have to tend to this garden of democracy or else things could fall apart quickly. That's what happened in Germany in the 1930s, which, despite the democracy of the Weimar Republic and centuries of high-level cultural and scientific achievements, Adolf Hitler rose to dominate, Obama noted. 60 million people died. So, you've got to pay attention. And vote. Crazy as all of that might seem, they're not the first to try and push this comparison. The Independent wrote their own Trump-Hitler comparison piece in November. Throughout his presidential campaign, Donald Trump described his opponent, Hillary Clinton, as a criminal and said she should be tried and put in jail. Of her guilt, he had no doubt. Commentators at the time noted the extreme nature of such rhetoric and the fact that demands for the investigation and imprisonment of political opponents was alien to the American system. But, they speculated, perhaps it was just that, rhetoric, and with his inauguration as president, he would leave such dangerous talk behind. It turns out, however, that Trump has proven unable to let go of his obsession with his defeated rival. In early November 2017, nearly 1 year after his election victory, he was not only continuing to attack Clinton, but also calling on the FBI and the Justice Department to investigate her. He was very frustrated by the fact that he was unable to order those agencies to go after his former opponent, something he said he would very much love to do. It was a horrifying moment as the President of the United States, perhaps more clearly than at any previous time, expressed the thoughts and desires of an autocrat. And with the announcement that Attorney General Jeff Sessions will explore the possibility of creating a new special counsel to investigate Hillary Clinton, those thoughts and desires have moved that much closer to being realized. Such open calls for criminal investigations of political opponents are truly unprecedented in American history, and for good reason, since they would undermine the very foundation of liberal democracy. If the president could order the FBI to investigate Hillary Clinton, where would it stop? Anyone who spoke out to criticize such a brazen act would be vulnerable to the same treatment. And then any individual or any group, regardless of whether they had actually done anything, would be at the mercy of Trump's politicized justice system. The president would be able to exclude anyone he wished from the national community. The road to dictatorship would be wide open to him. We know this because it was such a system that helped destroy democracy in Germany and helped Hitler establish his Nazi dictatorship. One of most significant challenges the new Weimar Republic faced was a politicized judicial system, an important element in the weakening of German democracy. One of the key failings of the revolution that toppled the German Empire in 1918 was the failure of the revolutionaries to establish a truly republican judiciary by allowing the judges from the old imperial system to remain on the bench. These were men who'd been trained and established their careers under the old authoritarian system. They had no sympathy for the new liberal, democratic regime. And the verdicts they rendered made this exceedingly clear. Political crimes committed by individuals on the left consistently received longer prison sentences than those committed by people on the right. Liberals will do absolutely anything to make you dependent on them and therefore vote for them. The more jobs they ruin, the more people will be forced to be on welfare, and if you're on welfare, you won't vote for someone who wants to downsize welfare. It's sad to think that any homegrown American would try to cut the legs out of the American economy that way, but it's hard to see this as anything else but a pointed attack on the American economy. Ignoring it won't make the monster of fear and ignorance go away, you'll just lose track of how close it's getting.